to How to Grow Your Cult of Optimization. I am Alison Sainsbury. I am the Senior Director of Digital Experience.
Senior, yes.
Senior is important, at Sitecore, which basically means I run the Sitecore.com website and the team that looks after it. And with me.
And I am Jacqueline Baxter. I'm a Senior Digital Strategist on the DX team, which means I work for Alison and I do whatever she tells me to, including this presentation.
So we'd like to start off with a story.
Yep. So I want you to close your eyes, or don't. This is a judgment-free zone. Make yourselves comfortable, and I want you to kind of envision this happening to you. Just breathe through it and envision this scenario.
Remember this feeling? They've bought a platform, a great platform, to do amazing things. And let's face it, it's not an inexpensive platform. But why is it so hard to convince them to fly?
And I really hate to break it to you, but by the end of that session, this is what you look like.
It's true. It's true.
100%.
And this is what they look like.
Yeah.
They're looking back at you and nothing that you say is convincing them. We've all been there. And it hurts. But we understand, truly.
We do. We've been there. We actually added it up in preparation for this session. We've done over 100 Sitecore implementations over more years than we're going to admit here. Sunscreen, kids.
Way more years.
Yeah.
Right? And it's happened so many times. But we've also seen success and we've learnt from it.
Want to know how we got this far?
That's the 6th reference, by the way. So let's go through some tips, and I'm going to give you tip 1. Tip 1 is about starting off right. Without the right foundation, you're going to burn any initial goodwill that you start off with, and you're going to have to work 3, 4, maybe 5 times as hard to get it back. At least. So the right foundation starts with the 3 Ps of digital transformation. 3 houses alike in dignity. Anyhow, one of them is slightly more dignified and crucial than the other, as it enables everything else to happen, and that is the people, okay? It's all about having the right people. And let's be specific, a lot more specific. This is the SBOSS recommended team structure. You have a central team of digital experience leaders with strong executive sponsorship and close working relationships with your IT partners, your vendors, MarTech, and your other agencies, syncing closely all together. That sounds great. Sounds great, right? Is it doable? Is it? Yes, it is. Okay, because that's exactly what we've done at Sitecore. This is what we have. We have an incredibly strong digital experience team encompassing content operations, inbound growth, strategy, development, design, and user experience. Our executive sponsor is, of course, the wonderful Paige O'Neill.
Please tag her on Twitter and tell her we sent you.
Yeah, do. And it's a measure of the importance that our executive is placing on digital transformation that our development team who supports us has recently been transferred to within the marketing department. In fact, this team has grown by 300% since I took over at the beginning of June last year. We work very closely with our media agencies and other MarTech vendors and our colleagues in marketing and other teams around the company and around the globe, and optimization of tools and paid media. Now, once you have your team in place, or at least planned, it's vital that you define what's important for them. Without this step, you don't get the alignment and your priorities won't be their priorities. Now, it's all kind of a bit fluffy when you kind of go, ooh, what are the principles of my team, etc. But it is something that's worth doing, because on a day-to-day basis, you can't be there every second that they open an email or get a request or a Teams or a Slack or whatever. If they know what the priorities are, if they know what they're supposed to be doing, what the principles of the team are, then they can make the decisions to choose the right thing that will drive you forward, okay? This is not just about KPIs and OKRs and other TLAs. It's about the philosophy of the team. What is the approach that you take every day in your work? For Sitecore's digital experience team, these are our 3 core principles. Firstly, we want to be experience first. We want to consider the customer at all stages, whether somebody comes to us with some content, we're building some functionality, UX development, everything. We always do put the customer at the middle of it. How is this going to affect them? Secondly, we're data-driven. We have the data. We have the data and we're going to use it. And then we're going to be solution oriented. So we try to always find ways to say yes rather than no, because that honors the first two principles. And everybody in our team does that. Everybody, every developer, every strategist, content, etc. We want to find a way to say yes to them. And that makes an enormous difference when I'm working with, hundreds of marketers around Sitecore and the thousands of people in Sitecore. They know that I am trying to help them, and that gives us a lot of goodwill. And then there's tip 2.
Now this one is a little bit easy to oversimplify, which is why I thought it was so important that I really emphasize it here. Because tip 2 is to listen. And here's something you may not know. It's something I didn't know until I started researching for this presentation. But most of what we do in our daily lives is what we call passive listening. Just basically, you're letting your brain absorb the information and trusting that your brain will be able to offer it back to you at the appropriate time. What this calls for, though, is much more full participation in the listening process. It improves trust, it improves respect, it facilitates problem solving, and it cuts way down on miscommunication. The kind of listening we're going to be talking about today is what we call active listening. That's a little bit of a buzzword. I'm sure you've heard it before, but it also calls for curiosity and it calls for creativity. The ultimate goal here is to open and to build channels of communication, bringing a diverse set of viewpoints to the table. Because every member of your wider team has a different set of priorities. Every member of your wider team has a different set of ideas and a different set of options for getting those ideas implemented. And by listening to them and by bringing them into the process, what you're doing is building long-lasting solutions that people will actually use. And by using them, they'll actually improve them. So step 1, if we're going to break this down into steps, because we do want to give you actionable takeaways from this presentation, step 1 is to be fully present for this conversation, for all of these conversations. I'm as guilty as anyone of having my phone attached to my hand. You'd almost think that I grew it myself for how long it is in my hand every day. But for these conversations, put them down. Step 2, be very aware of nonverbal cues. Most experts agree that about 93% of what we say is not actually the words that come out of our mouths. It's 55% body language and 38% your tone of voice. By being fully present for these conversations, you can make sure that your body language and your tone of voice are projecting the same level of interest that your words will be. Step 3, and this is absolutely critical, ask relevant questions.
Hold on, I've got a question.
You know what? You're mean. That's what you are. Like, what? Asking good questions can help you uncover challenges. It can also help you generate better solutions. A good question can really create that aha moment, which moves the whole project forward. Here's my favorite thing, though. What asking questions does is it automatically keeps you in learning mode. So it puts you into the position of absorbing information, again, more actively. So a few tips here for the question asking process, patent pending. Genuine interest is amazing. It's one of my favorite things to do. Getting people to talk about the thing that they're best at, getting people to talk about the thing that they're really passionate about is very fun, and you'll learn something in the process. Also understand what you're trying to get out of this conversation. The fact that you do have a goal doesn't automatically mean that the conversation can't be genuine and that it can't build trust throughout those channels. It just means that you are keeping an eye on what the information that you need to get out of this conversation. That's never a bad thing. Follow-up questions will help make sure that you not only understand the problem or the solution being posed, but also, again, helps you keep in learning mode and engage that active interest with the person that you're talking to. And seriously, I can't believe this needs to be said, but it definitely does. Don't interrupt. We all know that person who's just sitting there like on the edge of their seat, just like waiting for their turn to talk. They're like, oh, it's my turn next. Don't be that person.
Is it my turn yet?
It is not your turn yet. It will be your turn very, very shortly. Again, questions help the flow. They deepen trust. Questions are not the same thing. You can find those appropriate times for a question, but you want to make sure that you're giving the conversation space to breathe. And the best ways to start doing all of this are not revolutionary. Cooperation, communication, and collaboration. About 94% of office workers would cite team collaboration as a workplace priority, and creating those open channels of communication can build trust in that system as time goes by. What we have found, or one of the things we found that's really helpful, is to invite other members of other teams to sit in on our meetings. It gives them a much deeper insight in what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. It also ensures that we've got their buy-in when it's time to bring their team in, because we're being very transparent about the process and very transparent about what we're trying to accomplish. That will also give you insight into what other teams are struggling with. Because when people are invited into your space, when you solicit that feedback from them, they're much more likely to be honest and to become a much more consistent part of that conversation. It's also a great entry point to talking about pain points in your organization.
So we've outlined the culture that you want for your dream team, right? And you've asked lots of great questions and listened to the answers. Very important. I did listen to that bit. Was that right? Okay, good. Okay. Right. But now you need to do something with it, right? And you need to fix those pain points, obviously. But there's pain. There's so much pain. So where do you start? You've got all these pain points. Where do you start? So when you're gathering information about the pain points, you're going to hear about a lot of them, all right? Some will be customer pain points. Probably what will happen as well is you're going to hear about employee pain points, because if it's anything like my experience, as soon as somebody knows you're taking care of this project, they're all going to be saying, great, I really hate that thing and that thing and that thing, and this thing gives me, absolute hives, etc. So you're getting lots of information about employee pain points. And it can be really tempting sometimes to kind of go, that's great, that's great. I need to deal with the customer pain points first. That's important. I'll come back to you guys, but you never really do, all right? What I would encourage you, what has really, really worked for us, is to look for the intersection of those two. What are the customer pain points that are also employee pain points? Your data is telling you that the customers are having problems with a particular section of your site. The employees, your fellow marketers, your sales teams, whoever it might be, are also saying, this sucks. I'm getting bad data in this form. I can't build out the experiences that I need. This doesn't convert the way that it should, right? So listen to that and look for the middle space. What I'm asking you to do is honestly to look between CX and EX, and that's where you get great DX. See what I did there? See that? So funny, sorry. So literally between CX and EX, there is gold to be found for digital experience. Asking good questions of that can help you then uncover the challenges and generate better solutions, right? It creates that aha moment. When you've collected the pain points, so be decisive. You've got the data to work off. You know what you want to do it. That's the next thing. I don't want to don't tell Nike, I don't want them to sue me, but frankly, just do it, okay? We want to involve people. We do. Absolutely. We do want to involve people, but I have seen too often, paralysis by analysis. The committee trying to design a horse comes out with a camel. Camels are useful. No disrespect to camels. But as a digital experience leader, what you need to do sometimes is say, you know what, we're just doing it. I'm not asking any more people about this. We're just going to do it. We're going to get the team together. We're going to make that thing happen. We're going to make the thing happen in no time whatsoever. People will dither. If you're always looking for somebody else's sign-off, then you're never going to get anywhere. If you have the data to tell you where the pain points are, and you have the data to tell you what the results are going to be, just do it, honestly, and be flexible, okay? Because that first tactic, that first idea, it might not hit. Okay, you might not get the numbers out of it that you are hoping for. You might not get that beautiful uplift number that you're thinking, yeah, baby, I'm going to symposium, I'm going to get on stage and talk about this. But it's not just a Facebook logo. Failure is also a learning experience. We had a situation where we've been doing optimization on our request to demo form. And the first one, nice, worked, nice. 29% uplift. Mm-hmm. Woohoo, yeah. Second one, I thought it was a no-brainer. Actually went backwards. Yeah. Now, that was interesting. That was a surprise. And it really did seem like a no-brainer. We reduced the fields on the form, but it actually went backwards. Now, I said, okay, cool, right, go back to the old form, right? But also, I made that really clear. I showed all of our marketing people. I'm like, see this one? That one didn't work. And they were like, oh, okay.
We got some
wow.
good ideas out of
All right.
why it
We
might
got
not
some
have
great
too.
ideas out of it. They were like, well, maybe try this and this. I'm like, thank you very much. I'll write that down.
Mhm.
But also, they saw from that the importance of doing that testing. Okay, they saw from that the importance of actually doing that, and that makes them more likely then to come to us and say, I'm doing a new page or something. Can we do some A/B testing on it? Because I think it'll go this way, but another member of my team thinks it'll go that way. So let's actually do the testing. When we're being honest and open with them about that, then they're more likely to work with us.
And that brings us to tip 4, because you do want all of those people on your side. Once you've got the foundation laid perfectly, it's beautiful, it's even, you know exactly what you want to do and where you want to go. You're soliciting feedback from your users, you're talking to your customers, you're identifying those quick wins. In the immortal words of Josh Lyman,
We got the momentum, baby. We've got the big mo. Yeah, bring me all the muffins and bagels in the land. I drink from the keg of
glory. That's a very, very specific reference. We apologize for our nerdiness. But now what it's time to do is start spreading the word about your efforts. And for that, my friends, you're going to need a team. So you're probably looking for well-spoken thought leaders who are vocal about opportunities. You might be looking for someone who in your mind looks a lot like us. And that's great. Those people truly are wonderful. We love them. We are them. Nothing bad about that. But what I want to encourage you to do is to look beyond those sort of obvious choices, as it were. What you're really looking for is a person who's the one that they always listen to in meetings. It's the person who may not say a lot, but when they speak, everybody else stops speaking. It's the person who, when you say, that's really cool, how did we come up with that? It's always that person. Mm-hmm. They either thought of it or they built it or both. Often those are the quieter people. They're the people who just get it done. They just show up, they do their job, they do it really well. And those people can also bring something really valuable to this evangelism program that you're going to want to build. They aren't always where you might expect. So once you've found those folks, you need to give them the resources that they need to be effective. Now, part of that is things like tools, documentation, weekly meetings, feedback sessions, and part of it, again, is listening. You've gone to all the trouble of getting these folks set up and telling them we want to know what you think. Now you actually need to listen to what they say when they bring you ideas, when they bring you feedback. Make sure that you're incorporating and embracing the creativity that those people are going to bring to the process. And finally, you need to reward those people. So, yes, indeed. Applause, applause. The last phase is probably the most obvious, but it's also the most frequently overlooked, which is these folks are going to be putting in a lot of effort for your team, so you want to reward them. Now, I personally am a big fan of money. If you have the budget, if you have the ability, I hear diamonds are as good as cash on the open market. That's always a good, solid way to show your appreciation. But we have also found that genuine appreciation for what is being done is also valuable. Something that a lot of members of our team really thrive on is being told, this is amazing. This is so great. Thank you so much for doing this. And not just within our team.
Yep.
Taking it all the way up, all the way out, so that the whole organization knows, oh, David's the one who built that. Mm-hmm. That was him. Mm-hmm. He did all of this from the ground up. Is also really effective and impactful. And now, the biggest one.
Tip 5.
Tip 5.
Keep moving forward. Right? So you may find that you do all this. Great. You've done everything and you're still hitting roadblocks. Big sigh. But you can't let it stop you. You really can't. You've got to be resilient. There's always another option. There's always another idea. There's always another way to try. And it is worth it. It is. Okay.
Yes.
Sometimes the plan tactics, as I said, they're going to fail. Okay. But you learn from them. You do. And your team learns from them. And the wider organization learns from them as well. And speaking of the teams, as I said earlier, you want to get them involved, okay? You want to get into a cadence of giving them regular updates of what's coming next, what kind of results you've had, what's on the roadmap, okay? Get them really excited about it, what data and functionality is available to them, things that you've learned, things that you've got, okay? Ideally, you piggyback on a wider team call. This is
Yeah.
a very good tip. All right, you want to write this one down, okay? If you set up a call saying, hey, this is your digital team update, you're going to get, some people are going to turn up. Make a note of the people who turn up every time, because those are your evangelists, right? Those are the keen ones. But probably you're not going to get those people who are a bit more like, not so on board, maybe a little confused, maybe a little scared, let's be honest, etc. So if you can piggyback onto a wider team call that's been set up, that is a great way to make sure that you have got those people in the room, so to speak, okay? Rather than having your own. You can still have your own, sure, absolutely, but you want to kind of bring out the details on that wider team call when everybody's basically forced to be there.
Yeah.
Which is good, right? Forced attendance, I'm fine with that. You guys were all press ganged in here. All right, so we have that. We have, a fortnightly, we call it the digital marketing interlock. I don't know who named it that, but sure. And, I've kind of piggybacked into that and quite often have a session where, we'll show them, these are the results that we've done. This is what we're working on right now. This is the cool new stuff that I have for you. Anybody want to, follow up on that? I'm right here. And the kind of engagement that we get out of that, the questions in the moment, and the people saying, can we talk about that later? And I'll be like, great, excellent, set up a meeting, right? All of that, it just continues to feed the cult. Grow the cult, right? It works really well. You generate enthusiasm, you get engagement and commitment from marketing. This is marketing, sales, customer success, partner teams, all that. I don't care. Frankly, I'm going to shoehorn myself in anywhere that I can. I'm going to mention it to people at the water cooler, at the office when I do go there. I'm going to say, can I get on the QBR and tell you a couple of things? Can I join the all hands in this region and just show them a few things? We're just, anyway, I'm honestly, I'm not shy. Were you shocked by that? So when you've done that work and you show them what you can do for them, and then some people stick their hands up, this is really important as well. When you get those evangelists, when you get those people who are really interested, don't just talk at them, okay? Don't just tell them how you're going to do it for them. Get them into the platform. Give them the training, whatever you need, give them the data, etc. But don't just say, oh, that's great, Jackie. You want to do that? You and you? Yeah, cool. All right. I'm going to go away and do all that for you. Yeah. Thank you. No, right? I mean, if that's what they want you to do, then that's fine. But, encourage them. What you often get here is people who are like, well, I mean, they're probably quite comfortable with computers. They don't think they're going to blow up when they touch them. But they haven't done this kind of thing before. They haven't logged into the kind of platforms that you're running and stuff before. They don't know how to use it. Who better to teach them than you? All right? You can get them a login. You can show them how to do it themselves. You can hold their hand every step of the way as they do it. You can open up the screen and show them what you're doing. Train them. Give them those skills. That works amazingly well, because not only are you giving them the ability to do it right now in their job, but let's face it, they might not always be in that job. They might move to another job, and you're building their career skills in the area that they know that their job is going to go into. If it's in sales, for example, you're showing them how to do it. That makes them stronger when they're talking to a customer. If it's in marketing, they can get in there and start doing it themselves. I mean, you want to put some guardrails on here. Nobody wants them to accidentally delete the site or accidentally publish the site. Permissions are great. Permissions are a thing.
Workflows.
Right? You want to do that. You want to give them the ability to do that. And, you want to make sure as well, look at their processes. Get in touch with those evangelists and be like, so, okay, tell me, if you're building a campaign, can you tell me the process that you go through, please? Okay? And then you work out where is the logical place in their process for them to think about optimization. And then you make that widely available. So, if there might be a form or something like that they use to kind of set up, or maybe they kick off with like a campaign deck or a campaign in a box. Get access to that and put in the spots for optimization. And then on your next team call, take them through what that process looks like. So they know. So they're not kind of thinking, oh, but I've got this whole 12-step process that I have to go through to create this campaign. And now you're asking me to think, and where does it go? When am I supposed to bring you guys in? right? So if you get into that process and you get it in there, it makes it so much easier. And you don't have that, oh my God, we're launching a page tomorrow. Can we please put some personalization in place? And it's like, okay, it would have been easier if you talked to me 2 weeks ago. All right, so you make that process part of their process. And this part of the enablement, giving them the data, giving them the access, giving them the self-serve what they do. At Sitecore, we've done this a few different ways. So we have built out Google Data Studio reports so that they can look at SEO results themselves. I know that sounds crazy mad, but we didn't have them before. Yeah. So they're really, really happy because, all the marketers around the world can go in at any stage and look at these reports and filter them by their region or their campaign, and they can see the numbers there themselves. And if they've got any questions, happy to answer them. What they previously used to do was they would send a request to one of the members of my team and say, I need some results for that campaign that I ran. And, we go, sure. A couple of days, we get it back to them. But a couple of days is not in the moment. A couple of days is not, oh God, I've got to present on that. A couple of days just doesn't do it for me. I want you to have access to it straight away. So we've also partnered with a couple of guys that some of you might know, Chris Nash and Niels Kinnell at Relevant Edge. They're a company in Copenhagen. Tried to get them down here, but I could not tempt them. I'm going to send them pictures of food to make them feel bad for not coming, and you can tell them I said that. Anyhow, they have built a really, and I swear to God, I'm not paid by them, although Chris said he'd buy me a pastry if I ever get to Copenhagen. And I can be bought for cake.
Yeah, but you are definitely an evangelist for them. Which
I
think
am an evangelist for them because of what it does.
True.
Okay, and honestly, if anybody wants to see what it does, catch me later because I'll open these dashboards on my computer and show you. Okay, but basically what they've built is a really nice integration between XDB Analytics and Power BI. And the first time I cracked it open in Power BI when they set it all up for me, I got a little sad. Sad moment because there's so much data in there. There is so much data in there and you can do great stuff with it. So what we did is we built out a series of dashboards going across campaigns, goals, patterns, content, etc. They're sitting there in Power BI and our marketing teams can access them whenever they like. They can see what's happening on this campaign, what's happening in this region, what's happening on that page, what's the newest content that's popped out, because the content's coming from all over the company and there's no central place for it. So actually having this is fantastic. I have seen now that it's kind of gone beyond the marketing teams. We have the partner teams building their own dashboards off that data. Customer success is using it. This week in London, a member of the executive showed me a deck that he was putting together about a particular project. And right there on the slide are my little charts from my Power BI dashboards. And they're just using it. They have access, and that gives them so much to work with. They are very good. Tell them I sent you. I need more pastry.
It's true.
So all that data available to them anytime they want it, right? And that final piece, it cannot be stressed enough, right? You've got a few people involved. You've got the data to find the pain points and understand the results. You're making decisions. You're learning every day. Just keep going. Even if you get a setback, just keep going because there's always new improvements to be made, always.
And this is the really fun part.
There's a fun part.
There's a fun part. I know all of it seemed fun, but this is the really fun part because this is the part where you get to talk about all the cool stuff that you're doing. And we encourage you to talk about it to everyone.
Talk.
Do not be quiet. Be loud. Be loud about what you've accomplished. Be loud about what you're building. Say it with your whole chest anytime you want. Drawing attention to the amazing things that you're doing and the excellent results that you're seeing is an advertisement like no other. There's nothing better than being able to go to a team that maybe has been a little bit reluctant to engage with you and say, this is what we've been able to accomplish in this region. And I think we could translate it very nicely to some of the work that you're doing in that region. What we've been able to do by talking consistently and loudly about what we're accomplishing at the DX team at Sitecore is actually bring those people who maybe were a little bit reticent, and for some good reasons. There's a lot of people who don't want to change the system that they're working with. Because if it's not broken being a relative term, why would you change it? It's like, this is working very well for us. It's like, absolutely. But we can make it better. We can help you make it better, not just for your customers, but also for you. Make it smoother, make it easier to report on. It helps if you're like the two of us. Definitely helps if you have no shame and are very, very comfortable going up to literally anyone and being like, you should see this cool thing I built. But it's not a necessary component. There are a lot of ways to be loud about your success. Not only the team meetings, but also the humble email works really well by just continually sending out news about what you're doing. And it really is fun. It's fun to share. It's fun to talk about how great your team is and all the cool things that you're doing. And once you've done all of the hard work that we've talked about, you're going to have the great results and the great people to talk about in spades. So we really just have one question left.
Are you ready
to get started? Thank you.
So we do actually have chocolate questions, comments, more jokes, 6 references, anything.
Yep. Or you can all get coffee. That is also fine. There is no pressure. You can have the chocolate without asking a question.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to tell you something about the chocolate before you have the chocolate.
Yes.
So we'll just wait on that for a second. So are there any questions, comments? Anybody want to share a story of how you've actually kind of broken through that barrier at any stage? Put you all on the spot and join the stage.
And if the answer is no, or if you're like, gosh, I'd really rather keep this quiet for NDA related reasons, we're all over various socials.
Yeah.
And we would be happy to engage with you on any of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the connected to the phone thing is real. I'm stressing out. Mine's over there.
Yeah. I think this genuinely is the longest I've been without my phone in my hand for 4 solid days. The sponsors are great. We love the sponsors.
Thank you.
Yay!
Yeah. All right.